All right, beautiful people, we are back with another episode of the Red and White Podcast. I'm your host, Evan, with, as always, my newer, slimmer co-host, Dustin. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, good, good.
It's the hangry edition, folks. Dustin and I haven't eaten lunch, and Dustin's getting ready for his bikini body, so
Yeah.
we're struggling here. So it's been an interesting couple weeks since we last recorded. A few things have gone on. You've probably heard about. We no longer have a basketball coach, but we still have a basketball coach. In the NC State fashion, we fired Mark Gottried, but he is still our coach. I can't say I've ever seen that before, but it doesn't surprise me. It's something that we would do. So
I'm okay with it, man.
I mean, I'm fine with it. He's been fine. Gottried, if anything, his personality has been a good fit for the fan base and a good fit for this situation. And, everybody's pointed out he's handled it as good as possible. I don't know. I mean, it's just weird that he's still our coach, but more power to him. I'm curious what he's going to get out of his players as his, swan song, so to speak. But I don't expect too much different.
What if they win the tournament?
Man, that will be such an NC State thing to do. It really would.
If I were him, seriously, they win the tournament, I would just pull my nuts out and walk off the court. Bye. Later. See you. Oh man,
guns
fantastic.
blazing. Yeah, guns blazing. That's for sure.
By win the tournament, I mean they're going to lose. They might win one game, but that'll be lucky. So,
I mean, the ACC tournament, they're going to be in the play-in game, right? I don't suspect they'll be much better than that. I don't know. Who knows? It would just be the very NC State thing to do for him to run the table. And you fired a coach that won the ACC tournament. You're like, son of a bitch. I don't know. And I don't know. I don't know what to think. I think it was the right move. It's funny listening and seeing all the national columnists now give us their usual take. Oh, NC State, they're crazy. They don't know what to expect. What are they thinking? They're shooting above their pay grade. Mark Gottried was great. I mean, you've seen it all. It's just, I'm over it. It's only day 2, and I'm over it. We have at least 6 more weeks of this.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of understand what they say, but I don't. The whole you have to compete with Carolina and Duke narrative. I don't care about that. I mean, is that why someone shouldn't take the Georgia Tech job because they have to play Carolina and Duke some?
I mean, everybody in the ACC plays everybody else.
Yeah. If you use that argument, the in the backyard thing doesn't matter at the end of the year. Recruiting, sure, but I mean, we have recruited well against them.
I saw I don't remember who tweeted it out when it said, "Yeah, the in the backyard thing doesn't stand up. Look at Kentucky, Louisville, and Indiana; they're all relatively close to each other, and Cincinnati's not far from Louisville either. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It's a lazy narrative. We've heard that term before. It's people who don't get it trying to make sense of it. They're not paying attention. Haven't seen the performance of this team this year, I would suspect. The one that really gets me was Gary Parrish yesterday, where he was basically just dogging us. And at the end, he compares Gottried and Jim Larinaga since they were hired 2 weeks apart. And they're like, oh, well, Miami hasn't sniffed firing Larinaga. I'm like, well, no shit. They won the ACC title a couple years ago. Their first ever in school history.
Yeah, see, that buys you some time.
Yeah, that buys you a lot of time. It doesn't make any sense. And why would you even compare that? It's just, you're not putting any effort into it if that's your comparison. And I'm guessing that Miami's teams haven't quit on him as much as Gottried's team have.
Right.
And maybe not even quit on him, just have looked unprepared and unorganized and just not like a well coached basketball team. Larinaga is a good coach. We've said it
There's
before.
there's no discipline at all, man.
No,
Like, did you hear Jeff Gravely on the radio?
no, I don't think so.
He was talking about just the environment and how it was a toxic environment, and he used the example which I hadn't heard, but at the Duke game, there was a huddle going on. Gottried in the middle, clipboard drawing up a play, and he wouldn't name the player, but said that there was one player in the huddle, and he was just standing and looking up at banners and looking around at the crowd, not paying attention. And Orlando Early tapped him on the shoulder, and it's like, hey, pay attention, look at the clipboard, and the player just replied with "F you," and there was nothing that happened from that.
See, I'm with you. They don't respect him. I don't know that situation. I did notice in the Carolina game where we got smoked, as expected. Terry Henderson was walking over the huddle. Gottried was talking, and Gottried was talking to Henderson, and he walked right by him. It's like, it's done, man. They know it.
Yeah.
He hasn't gotten the most out of them, and like you said, people have been pointing out the recruiting rankings. State has actually recruited better than Carolina over the last, 4 or 5 years, since basically Gottried's gotten here.
Yeah, but they keep their players.
Well, yeah, that's it. So that's part of it, right? So not only have we recruited better, but Carolina's averaged 5 more wins a year, ACC wins a year. Like, he's not getting it from the players, and you're exactly right. I think it's either an talent evaluation problem, or it's coaching. Like actually coaching the players and development problems. So either way, it's a coaching problem. You can't lose that many guys and still have the constant excuse of, oh, we're young, oh, we're young. Well, you're young because you're losing all your players. And why is nobody pointing this out? It bothers me. It just annoys the crap out of me.
One thing I notice about, there's usually good teams and good players on good teams. If you ever, you see somebody, you're playing somebody, and you're like, man, that guy's got to be graduating, right?
Yeah.
It seems like he's been there for forever. Because they come in as freshmen and they play above their years. And then you see them multiple years. It happened this week. I was watching Carolina, and we were talking about, Justin Jackson?
Yeah.
It's like, man, he's got to be a senior, right? No, he's just a junior. But he's played. They've gotten consistent play out of him for the 3rd year now, and that's not something that we get. I don't think it's a talent evaluation thing. It's what happens when they get there.
Yeah. So I agree with you. I think he's getting the right talented players. There's obviously a personality disconnect. But whether it's his coaching style or
you got to be more than their friend.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it. I mean, I really do. I like that Will Wade clip, the coach from VCU that went around a couple days ago, and he was just talking about how disrespectful it was to the team that 2 guys showed up and they weren't wearing VCU gear on their travel day. Like, he was pissed. And that's what he's getting, that buy-in from the team. That's what he's aiming for. And Gottried wants to be, hanging out with his boys and looking like he's going to make out with Dennis Smith after they beat Duke. I don't know, man. And you can't expect any one and done or any big time player to come play under Gottried after seeing what Dennis Smith has gone through. I don't think Dennis Smith's a saint, but he's a next level talent.
Yeah.
And he just needs some coaching. He needs some coaching like the rest of them. There's no reason that Roy and Coach K and Calipari can get, and other guys can get more out of those type of elite level kids than Gottried has got. And it's not production wise, it's team wise. I don't know how to explain it, but Dennis Smith's producing, but as a team, they're just struggling. right?
Right.
You should be able to use that as a catalyst to make everybody else better. And it hasn't happened that way. The offense is, hey, let's give a high ball screen to Dennis Smith's guy, and then something might happen while everybody else watches. Every time down the court, that was just, I don't know. I don't know what it is about it. And I think it was, I don't know, the Wake Forest game. And this story was reported before where it was like 39 minutes into the game. They ran a set. Maverick hit a three, and Gottried yells, "That took 39 damn minutes!"
Yeah.
Like, so he's obviously he's trying, but whatever he's trying is not getting through, and how he's trying is not getting through, and
Yeah.
that's when you have to adjust. And he's not adjusting, and now he's out of a job, kind of.
I will say I don't want it to all be a bashing deal. I mean,
Oh,
he did good stuff for the school. Uh, Anything to recover from the low years.
I like
But
Godfrey.
yeah, and I think it's just sometimes that you have your ceiling, and he hit his ceiling. I mean, this is aside from off the court stuff. This is pretty similar to Alabama. You know,
Yeah,
he
very
had
much so.
shit. He had Alabama as a number one team in the country at one time,
Yeah,
and then they just fell off, and there was no defense. And I don't know. I think it was a good program elevator to an extent, but
yeah.
it hit the wall. I mean, it did. So
I,
I
I'm with you.
appreciate him
It's
though.
Yeah, no, I like him. I'm not bashing him. I'm not trying to bash him. I'm just trying to justify why, why he got fired. Because everybody else thinks we're crazy, and that's the part that bugs me.
Yeah.
The program trajectory was going the wrong way,
Yeah.
and there was no sign that was gonna fix it. If there was anything that was gonna fix it.
And
Now,
there were tournament runs, but there were usually runs during the end of the season to get into the tournament.
yeah,
And that's fine. Okay, went to the two Sweet 16s. What four tournaments or five?
5 tournaments.
Five tournaments. That's great, but yeah, I'd like to consistently be in, but I'd also not have to consistently worry about being on the bubble.
Yeah, I wish I had noted how many years we were actually on the bubble and weren't sure we are gonna get in.
Yeah,
It was probably most of them.
sitting and watching. You
Yeah,
know, if there's cameras to see our reaction, it means that there's a chance you're not going,
yeah.
and that was more than once.
And one of them was a play-in game.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, we beat Xavier, I believe, and lost to St. Louis in the next round.
and that was a collapse.
Yeah, with probably the best player we've had in
Yeah,
I don't know how long.
so
Uh, yeah, it's he was doing good things, but he wasn't. He plateaued, and it wasn't all gravy. I mean, it's basically it's you can relate it to the Trump arguments now. It's alternative facts. You can put the numbers out ever you want, but and you can make them say different things, but the reality of it was not. It doesn't line up with that.
no, the best thing he did was prove that you can recruit here.
Yeah, and Sidney Lowe did that too.
Yeah,
You
so
can
there's
you can win here, and I think the thing Godfrey should hang his hat on the most was the 1 year where he beat. He's the only coach, still the only coach to have done it, to beat all 5 ACC Hall of Fame coaches: Kay, Roy, Patino, Boeheim. So 4 of them. He beat them all in 1 year.
yeah,
That's what he needs to hang his hat on, right? And you can do that at NC State. There's no reason you can't compete here. And I'm just tired of people saying that we're nuts, right? I have a buddy of mine text me all the time. He's an Ohio State fan. He lives in North Carolina, and he just constantly says, "Oh, you guys, you're not a top 25 program. We're not. There's no reason we couldn't be. There's no reason that we shouldn't aim. We shouldn't have higher aspirations."
I'm sorry. There's no reason to think that when you look at some of the schools that are.
Yeah,
Why why is Gonzaga a better job than ours?
right.
Like how? What, St. Mary's is top 25. They play in a high school gym.
Yeah. Baylor, Oregon, all these schools that weren't basketball
Yeah.
programs.
But they got, a good X's and O's guy. And, things happen.
Yes.
So, like I
It,
said,
it com-
Gottried is a great recruiter, but he was not an excellent coach.
yes, he was not getting it out of the players, and there's no reason that we can't do that. I mean, there's the list of schools that have multiple national titles under multiple coaches is very slim. And
Yeah.
if even multiple national titles, there's only 15, I think the number is. And we're one of those 15. There's no reason that we shouldn't be one of the elite programs. We're not. And I'm not even asking for that, right? This is what I keep coming back to. We've talked about before metric of success. I don't say we have to have a national title or we have to win the ACC championship every year. That's just delusional if you think that. But there's no reason that states shouldn't consistently compete for the top 5 in the ACC.
Yeah.
If you do that, you're not in the bubble. You're not on the bubble. You're in the tournament safely. Every once in a while, stars on the line, and you'll make a run at the ACC championship. But you can't do that from the middle and the bottom half of the league. And there's no reason that we should be down there.
I mean, if that's the argument, then how does Virginia have any right being where they're at?
Right.
They
Yeah.
hired a good coach.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden, Virginia was trash for a lot longer than we were.
Yes.
And hey, guess what? They're, I don't want to say elite, but they're a force in the conference now.
Right.
That's all I care about.
Yes. Agreed.
So,
I mean, that's what I don't think people understand.
like, I don't
They
want
don't
to be
want,
a Carolina or Duke. I want to be a Virginia.
yeah. There's a risk associated with firing Gottried. I get it. But if you consider the trajectory we were on and the potential that are out there, then it's a risk I'm willing to take.
I mean, yeah, okay, don't fire him. But what are you going to have next year?
Train wreck.
I mean, there was no indication that they were getting better. You're going to lose your star with not there's not a 5-star coming to fill those shoes. There was no way to think that we would be any better next year.
Right. He's not building the program, and that was the reason. That was the reason behind it all.
I guess there's been questionable games and stretches his whole tenure,
Mm-hmm.
but it was always, well, look at the class he's got coming in next year though.
Right.
And that saved him a lot.
Yeah.
But you can't say that this year. Well,
I think
the 4-star kid. That's it, right?
yeah, I think he's a 3 on some
Yeah.
service.
So,
I was thinking back, I think one of the biggest moments in Gottfried's tenure, or maybe one of the most determining, was Trevor Lacey decided to go to the NBA early, or deciding to leave early and not making the league. That was last year, year before, or going into last year.
yeah.
And that was the beginning of it, right? We were 5-13 that year. If you have Trevor Lacey, you're not 5-13.
Yeah.
And
Same thing. It's always a player leaving early every year.
yeah,
Because if he had been there last year, we would have had him and Cat.
yep,
If Cat had stayed, we'd have had DSJ and Cat.
yeah. If TJ had stayed, we'd have TJ and Trevor Lacey.
Yeah.
It just keeps going on and on, right? And you just can't bank on that. And you need to build a program, and he's not done it. So I understand it. I just don't understand why we get so much heat for it. You've seen people pointing out, oh, you're an idiot for hiring Mark Gottried. Oh, now you're an idiot for firing Mark
Yeah,
Gottried.
that
It's
was
the
cute,
same
wasn't
people.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same people. It doesn't make any sense. You shouldn't aim better for Herb. Hey, Herb got fired from Arizona State. Sorry if you can hear my kids screaming. Snap time. Herb got fired from Arizona State and took a year off, and now he's at Santa Clara. And we're the assholes for running him out of town.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. It's lazy, and it just annoys me. And I don't want to have to wait here 6 more weeks of this stuff.
Yeah, well,
So,
get over it. It's coming.
God. So who are we gonna get? That's the $1 million question.
Mm. Are we just throwing our immediate pick out, or are we going to go down a list and talk about them a little bit?
Who you want? Who's your first pick?
You know, I was on the Archie bandwagon,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm kind of changing my my hope to Tom Crean.
Tom Crean, really?
Yeah,
I didn't see that one coming.
yeah. I mean, think about it. He's probably he might not get fired, but it wouldn't be hard for him to leave. Look at, I mean, he took over Indiana when they were, in deep shit because of Kelvin Sampson,
Yeah.
and then I think he's won, at least two Big Ten titles. He's been a number
Huh.
one seed in there,
Where
and
was he beforehand? Marquette?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I liked him there.
So, and he's a very, very good X's and O's guy,
Mm-hmm.
which is something that we haven't had. Well, Gottried wasn't it. Lowe wasn't it. I guess Herb,
Yeah.
but Crean can recruit better than Herb could too. I think it would be a good, if they want to, everybody throw us up against Carolina and Duke. I think he'd be a good head-to-head with those two every year.
I like his attitude. And that's gonna align with my first pick too. Actually,
Who's that? Greg Marshall?
Greg
Yeah.
Marshall. Like I tweeted it out earlier. And the more I think about it, the more I hear people dogging us, and the more interviews I hear Greg Marshall. Like that's the dude, man. He's a dick, and he doesn't care what any he doesn't care what anybody thinks. He's gonna win, and he's won everywhere. He's from not too far away. Like I know the odds of him leaving Wichita State are probably pretty slim.
I don't think that at all.
Well, he's getting paid like $3.5 million at Wichita
Yeah,
State.
but they're looking at a conference change coming up.
Yeah, and they're gonna lose a ton of players, so
Yeah,
there's that too.
it's a good year for him to bolt.
Yeah, he's a winner, and he just doesn't care. You can talk trash about. He is not gonna take that BS. And he might have trouble recruiting some of the elites, but he's gonna get the most out of whoever he does get. And the dude has just won on every level. I, I don't know, man. I'm kind of on the Marshall bandwagon at the moment.
Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room, Archie, because that was the thing all year.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he wants to wait on Ohio State and use us as a fallback plan. I'm really not interested.
It's a little disappointing. Um, I guess here's how I feel about Arch, and maybe this is why I'm on the Greg Marshall bandwagon at the moment. Is that I would love to have Archie Miller. I think he's a fantastic coach. I think it runs in his blood. Everything positive you can say about a coach. I think he's it. At the same time, I think I'm trying to justify that he's not going to take our job for whatever reason that is. Like I think I still want him, no matter what. If he wants to play us against Ohio State, by all means, go ahead. But the more it feels like he's not, like it's not going to happen. I don't know if that made any sense.
I don't know because I don't think Thad Matta's going anywhere this year. I really don't.
I don't know. I know the Ohio State fans are clamoring, and he's got some health issues. I'm not sure.
If he leaves, it'll be of his own accord.
Right.
They're not going to Bobby Bowden him.
No.
So I don't know. I think that's he could wait, but there's a chance that Ohio State can turn it around in a year too.
You're right.
I mean, they're a good enough program to do that. So I don't think it's a sure thing that job just opens up this year or next year. And he's getting paid at Dayton, but I don't know.
Yeah, he's
You got
not
to
getting
stretch it out
paid.
at some point and try your hand at the big dogs. You know.
Yeah, the rumors are that he wants at least 3 million, which is fine. That's what everybody else is getting. If he's obviously everybody's number one candidate, if Yao wants to leave a legacy, she can say, "Hey, I got the guy you wanted." She needs to throw probably 4 million at him and like 7 years at least, and just say, "Here you go. Here's the keys to the program.
Turn it down.
Yeah, turn it down. Do what you want with
Yeah.
it. This is yours. This is your legacy. This is your potential." Everybody's pointing out Roy and Kay are at some point going to retire in the near future. This is your chance to be a god, right? If anybody who brings state back to relevance is going to be a god,
Yeah.
that's it. You got to play to that, and there's not much else she can do. She can back up the truck and say, "You have free reign, king. Keys to the castle. This is yours. You want it. You're up for the challenge. Do it." But that's what you have to do. And he might say no. Uh, that would suck, I think, because it's our one shot. I think we probably should have gone after him years ago when we hired Gottried and taken the risk. But I don't know. There's other candidates out there too, like you pointed out, Tom Crean and Greg Marshall and Will Wade at VCU and Kevin Keats at UNC Wilmington. Right, these coaches are all winning in short periods of time at their schools. Now, I don't think any of them have the appeal that Archie would, being and all that stuff. Everybody just, we love that sort of thing around here. City Low got hired. That's what they play on. So I don't know. There's a lot of options. You brought up one of the day I thought was interesting. Chris Collins.
Yeah, I'd love that. I mean,
Explain that one to the people.
okay, so I would think he's definitely got to be, if he's in line to be the next Duke coach. I would imagine. Look, if you win at Northwestern, then you can win anywhere. So I would love to swoop in and grab him before Duke does. I don't see him leaving state to go to Duke. He'd jump at Duke from Northwestern, and he'll be a young coach that we're gonna have to face for a long time. So power play it, throw him some money, see what he says. If he's got the set, well, you're the coach in waiting at Duke, he probably wouldn't do it, but he's also got the risk of, well, what happens if Northwestern takes a couple steps back and I don't look as attractive? I don't see why not. It'd be a Dookie,
Yeah,
but
yeah, that's interesting. I looked up his record, and every year he's gotten better, which is what you're looking for. 14 wins, 15 wins, 20 wins, and he's at 19 at the moment.
at Northwestern,
At Northwestern, 8 wins in the conference last year, 8 wins now, 8-5 at the moment. Still has games left. I mean, so getting better.
yeah,
I mean, I don't think it's far off. It would be interesting hiring a Dookie and what people thought about that, and the general reaction. But I mean, you can hire anybody. I don't care if they can coach. They can coach. That's all I want. I want a guy who's going to win. That'd
and
be
if he,
funny, kind of snipping him out from underneath Duke
yeah,
before he went to be the Duke coach.
and if he picks stuff up, if he wants to come in and coach like Cade has at Duke, hey, I'll take that any day.
Yeah,
And if he's winning at Northwestern too with Northwestern academic requirements,
right.
So I don't want to make it sound bad, but dumb those requirements down a little bit. You open up your recruiting pool even more.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
I don't see a problem with it at all. I'd be all over that. I don't think it'll happen, but
no, he hadn't even been on anybody's radar. Anybody who's mentioned it.
no. And I don't know why.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's a good point.
I mean, it's Northwestern. You can take somebody from there.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, I guarantee you he's going to be at Duke in 5 years.
Yeah, it seems like it. It sure does. It's one of those. I think I saw another number that State hasn't lost a coach to another. I don't know what you call them, BCS or major school in 35 years or something like that.
So
Like,
the football route.
yeah, Yeah, exactly. It's I don't know. I mean, you hadn't been good, and people aren't leaving for the right situations, or not leaving for any other situation. I don't know. I think there's options out there. Everybody's going to retread the same five guys: Holtman, Arch, Keats, Wade, Marshall. You're going to see that same list over and over again, and for good reason. I'd take any of them. I think they're all risky to a degree, but I think they're all good coaches. They're not in the broadcast booth at the moment.
See, I don't know. Like, aside from Archie, I really don't want to take a chance on somebody that hasn't ran a P5.
Yeah, I mean it's a risk. I don't know if Marshall's a risk because he can win anywhere, but I understand.
But that's. I mean, what's the proof of that?
Went
Wichita
to the Final
State.
Four. Went to the Final Four with Wichita State.
Yeah, but come on, magic happens. Like,
It doesn't happen for us.
exactly. So don't bank on that. That I guess.
But he's not magic though. I mean, he's been consistent. He's a consistent winner. He did the same thing at Winthrop. They didn't get Final Four, obviously, but he was winning and he was beating people.
I mean, I wouldn't be upset with him at all.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I,
I'd like to have Archie, but Tom Crean would do it for me as well. So
I like his Marshall's mentality. I think that's pretty well known. I think, yeah, if we miss on Arch, what do you think the chances of miss on Arch are?
chances of missing,
Yeah.
probably about 60.
Yeah. I think
We thought it was a sure thing, but Ohio State's quite the wrench. So
yeah, I think Ohio State is the wrench. And then if you look at Sean Miller not leaving for Pitt, his alma mater, now I'd probably stay at Arizona just for the co-eds, but
yeah, but see that's a I don't want to judge it off that though because Arizona's a historic program.
yeah.
Pitt, no. I mean, they
What
were okay in the Big East, but they've been trash since they came to the ACC.
what do you think about the Debbie Yow influence,
I think it doesn't help.
right?
Um, it would. I wish we had an AD in waiting kind of deal,
Yeah.
so they could at least know that. I also think that her brand is tainted because of the Gary Williams deal. I don't know. I mean, she
And
went out and got the football coach that everybody thought was going to be the hot new thing when she hired Dave. So
yeah,
there wasn't a problem there.
that whole class was rough. That whole batch of coaches we were looking at. My thing with NC State in general is that sure as I think it was the right move. My confidence level in us not dicking it up somehow is very low. I think from top to bottom we have a problem. I think it's the athletic administration we talked about. I think our boosters, I think university president, there's some issues there in the whole relationship. Now I think Randy Woodson's a fantastic president. Don't get me wrong, chancellor, whatever you want to call him. But he doesn't give a poop about athletics. Randy doesn't care. And then there's a lot of things wrong that we have going on right now that really concern me with the hope of us executing this properly. And we've already seen that, right? It got leaked out for whatever reason, which it's probably the worst thing that could happen because Archie Miller's just going to get drilled with questions constantly. And I don't know. My confidence in the leadership is not there, and something has to change if we want to break the chain of futility that we've seen for so long.
Right.
Um, I don't know. I guess the other things we should talk about at some point. I don't know if we even want to broach the subject yet. Dennis Smith, high school coach, getting arrested.
Nah, I don't think that's anything we need to talk about.
I think everybody should keep their eye on it. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of schools should keep their eye on it. I think that's interesting. What else was there? Something else? I don't know. I just, we're going to beat it down over and over again, but things need to change. Things need to change top to bottom for us to get out of this, whatever we're in.
Mediocrity? Yeah.
Yeah, the cycle of poop. Yeah.
Hey, I just thought of one more coach. What do you think about Frank Martin?
Um, I don't know enough about him to say. Like, I know I've seen his name and I know people like him. I don't know enough about his results to have an opinion, I don't think.
Oh well. What?
Yeah.
Yeah. You got anything else?
I don't know. I don't.
Okay.
I really.
So
Uh,
end it with not your pick of who you want. Who's the next coach?
who's the next coach?
Yeah.
Archie, Marshall.
No, you can't. You can't have a pool. Which one's it going to be?
Oh,
Not
who's gonna be?
yeah. Not who you want necessarily. Just who's the coach going to be?
Um, I'm mentally preparing for myself for someone like um, Keats from Wilmington.
Yeah, it's kind of. I figured it'd be him or Wade. I think we're going to get turned down. And if it comes out publicly that Archie turned us down right off the bat, that's not good.
I'd want to know why. And if he goes to Ohio State, if he turns us down, stays at Dayton, then that's not good.
Yeah.
That's the problem. If he turns us down, goes to Ohio State, yeah, it's disappointing, but I get it. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's what people should prepare themselves for, and that's just pure speculation. There's no other inside information. I will say that we did know about this past weekend,
Yeah.
well before everybody else. People thought we were crazy and that we were leading them on for no reason, but
Yeah,
we heard.
there was some stuff Saturday, but
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff Saturday.
so anyway, I don't have anything else, man.
I don't either. We'll come back with another update at some point. Got an interesting blog post. At least I think it's interesting, along the same lines as this sort of complaining. But we'll see. That's all I got. Hopefully, we don't bungle it up.
Yeah, okay.
Go Pack.
Go Pack.